Welcome back to Blue Line Outfitters. This video is really a realization of what started out as a kind of a crazy idea. I originally had talked to some friends about catching a Southern Appalachian Brook Trout in 4 states: our home state of Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, and North Carolina, all in one day. And while talking about it, another friend said, well, you know, there's some in Virginia, so you might as well just make it 5 states. So as time went on, I talked Adam into it. We did a little research, looked at the maps, and I think once he realized it was possible, we could do it. But if you're gonna have such an epic adventure, you need a really good cameraman. So that's where we included Zach along. So due to time restraints, instead of starting in the south and heading north, we actually drove up to Virginia. Virginia was an interesting state. None of us had ever fished in Virginia before. So we did some research, found some high elevation streams inside the Grayson Highlands State Park in Virginia. And inside that park, there's wild brook trout. So we headed up there, we camped overnight, had a good night's sleep. It was early spring up there. There was no leaves on the trees. Turkeys were gobbling that next morning. So we got up and we went to fish a creek we had never been to. So this is gonna be the story of starting in Virginia, working our way south, and catch a Southern Appalachian brook trout in 5 states in one day. Probably just packed her on
I don't think it would have broke your rod. It may have flung it off in the ground once.
If it had hung it up around it, probably could have.
I don't think it would have broke it.
Oh man. I don't know. It is what it is.
Man, I could not have turned my GoPro on any better time. Holy cow.
Oh, I can see it.
Sounds large.
I don't look large. As we headed into this first creek in Virginia, I don't think anybody that was along for the trip, myself, Adam, or Zach, had any idea what to expect. So we got down to the little creek. The water was actually freezing that first morning. So we started off with a dry. The first pool was beautiful. Absolutely nothing happening on the dry. So added on a dropper. And that was really the key to success on this first pool. It's after we added the dropper, moved up, and right off the bat, within the first maybe 10 minutes of the trip, I caught my first Virginia Southern Appalachian brook trout. A neat side note here is Southern Appalachian brook trout are found in Virginia, basically south of the New River drainage. Anything north of that is considered northern brook trout.
First Virginia brook trout.
So there was my first fish. Didn't get on film. It's the joy of filming. Didn't have the camera running. Was just trying to figure out what was going on. So that was one down for me. Next up was Adam. And as luck would have it, as we were planning this out, it's like, what happens if somebody doesn't get a fish? How long do you stay in one state and keep fishing? It actually probably took almost an hour or so to get Adam's fish. So that was a pretty interesting test early on, to how long we would stay and fish one state before we bailed to try to complete it. But you don't want to bail on the first state. If you bail on the first state, you're in trouble.
Nope. What? Huh? Nah, it's shallow. Can you see it?
Still want to know.
That's fine. Yeah, they're plenty. Good old rhododendron.
That was better than what I thought.
Rhodo.
I could tell as Adam fished, after several came off, I won't say it was frustrating, but there's definitely some pressure building. I was able to go out real early with my first fish, and after that it was Adam's creek to fish, so he kept fishing, didn't give up, and finally got a little fish. He was able to bring it in.
Holy cow. Here, little buddy. That is a gorgeous fish. There you go, little friend. Let's get the heck out of here.
So then we had a pretty good little hike back up the side of the mountain to get out of here. Got back up to the vehicle about 9 o'clock or so. One state down, 4 states to go, and we were headed to Tennessee.
Yo.
Tennessee, Virginia down. Tennessee's next state. Need a brookie. Got Zach back there filming it all. Let's go get it. Oh, what? I'm trying. I missed one twice.
Yeah, they're here.
They're here, boy. They're definitely a brookie. Oh.
Oh shit.
You ready?
Am I ready? What am I ready for? Missing two?
I'm gonna give you a shot there.
I'm gonna
It's right there, right off the point of that rock over there.
I'm gonna throw it over there.
There you go.
Oh, missing.
I seen him come across the rock. He's actually below where he came up that time. Let it come on down. Right there. Yep.
I just be playing sleeping at the wheel.
Oh, got him.
I can't see it behind that.
It almost looks like that one a rainbow, but
It does. You got them up and down stripes.
the good part about once we got to Tennessee and did our introduction for Tennessee, got out fishing. This was actually on a stream in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. It was roadside with native brookies in it, so that made it pretty quick and easy. I actually caught a few little wild rainbows mixed in while we were trying to get that brook trout, but I was able to get up and had a deep little pocket against the bank. I was able to get up there and get a little brook trout to come up and eat my dry fly. brook trout in the net. Tiny little fella, but we'll take him. So we got that, and that was one down.
Oh,
Now
no.
begin to help Adam out. We were able to spot a deep little pocket up against the bank. And the first cast, he had this really, really nice brook trout come up and eat it. So that was excellent. That basically,
I had
in a
one
pretty
hit,
short
but I
period
couldn't
of
tell what it
time,
was.
we were able to both get our brook trout in Tennessee. So that was 2 states down, and we were just headed over to the mountain to North Carolina.
Oh yes, sir. Good brook trout. Damn. That's a good picture. That's a good one, man. Brook trout, Adam.
Alrighty. On to North Carolina.
There we go.
.211, gonna be leaving Tennessee, headed to North Carolina. Not too long of a drive. All right, state 3, we're in North Carolina. Gonna try to grab another brookie right here. It's a creek we fished before. It's really good. So let's see if we can't get it. Was it on that side of the trail?
Yeah, I've been in New Mexico walking over there. Ooh, I'm gonna walk across this log.
Film this. This was a pretty funny moment walking in here. Adam decides to walk across this log, so I'd asked Zach to film it in case he took a swim. We would have it forever to play back at our own will. But the good thing about this creek in North Carolina, this was one of the streams I felt most confident about. It's a stream I had fished several times in the past and held a really, really good population of Southern Appalachian Brook Trout. To my understanding, it's never been restocked or messed with. They were there the entire time, even when the park was covered up with stock fish, and even when they went through the restoration process for a lot of streams, this one has held brook trout basically since the time that the last glaciers left. So that's a pretty neat thing, that this little creek falling off the side of the mountain has pretty much always been just like it is now, with these Southern Appalachian brook trout in it.
Dang. I think I feel stinging nettles already.
Right. Nope. Man, stinging nettles. Holy crap.
So in this creek, we started fish. We actually Saw several fish we didn't get, missed some fish early. So pretty quickly off the bat, Adam was able to find him a little brook trout there. So for the first time on this trip, he struck first, got his fish. So the roles were reversed. I was
There he is.
one with the pressure on to get it completed
North
so we could
Carolina
head on down
down.
the road.
North Carolina done. He's a small one. We'll take him. There you go, little buddy.
So as we moved up, actually back-to-back pools, and really had two really nice fish. One you can see coming up here is actually probably a solid 8-inch brook trout, and I absolutely fumbled it right at the bank. That was pretty frustrating. You don't realize how much stress you put yourself under to catch that fish.
Man, that was close.
The very next pool, I was able to get up there, catch a little brook trout. And here again, wasn't a big fish, but it was a Southern Appalachian Brook Trout in North Carolina.
Landed. We just lost a really big one. But there's a North Carolina brookie. County that we got him. Whew, that was close. I had to fish a little harder for that one than I wanted to. But we got it done.
Down the road we went, headed to South Carolina. At this point, we had 3 states down and a lot of daylight left, so I was feeling pretty confident that we would at least make it to all the states. That was the best part is, you know, when you start that morning, you're not really sure how far this is going, but by this time in the afternoon, you know you've got 3 states under your belt, which is an accomplishment in itself, but you really want to get to all 5 to complete the challenge. So as we roll into South Carolina, it's
Here we
pretty
go.
interesting, I think, to note how much
Maybe not.
the terrain has changed from Virginia. We went from really steep creek, basically bedrock, to the Smokies with a little bit bigger creek with some brookies in it, to the little tiny creek in North Carolina falling off the side of the mountain at a rapid rate. And now we've got over to South Carolina. The elevation's a good bit lower, and the creeks themselves are a lot flatter, not nearly the drop that you have up in the mountains. They also have a lot more sand in them, as you'll notice. But the good thing about this creek is we were familiar with it. It had a lot of brook trout in
He
it,
come and looked at it.
and it didn't
You know how
take
he
a
does.
real long time. I think this was actually the first pool I fished that I was able to catch an old friend here that had eluded me in a few trips in the past.
Woo! In the net. The South Carolina brook trout.
And there he was.
4 for 4.
That's a gorgeous fish.
It's a beautiful fish.
That fish felt really good. 4 states down. That in itself was my original goal, was to catch them in 4 states. So to do it in one day, I was feeling pretty happy about life there. We moved up. Adam got tired of his fly here in this pool, so he broke it off and tied him a new one on. But just the next pool up, we were able to find a brook trout out feeding. Adam was able to sneak up on that pool and make a cast and catch it. And just like that, 4 states down. And the only state left to go is
Oh
our
no.
home state of Georgia.
Oh no, little friend. I'm good. I gotta go put him in the water.
Is that the one that was soft?
Probably. He chased it down the creek.
See that thing?
A little dirty. I'm gonna clean him up.
No, that's perfect.
All right, buddy.
Fall down.
Right. Let's get the heck out of here. If I can get my line out of the tree.
When we arrived in Georgia, we actually parked, and there was a couple of gentlemen camping. We got our fishing rods together, and one of them asked if we were going to fish, where we were going fishing, and we pointed at the little creek here. And he's like, "Are you sure there's fish in there?" That may have been a clue, but we were. I said, "Yeah, we believe so." So it's pretty funny. They had actually spent the entire day fishing on the big river close by. And we're camped next to a Southern Appalachian Brook Trout stream and had no idea it actually had fish in it. So that's kind of the places in Georgia that still hold Southern Appalachian Brook Trouts, tiny creeks that you can almost jump across.
Been bolted.
Well, he ran up under the bank over there. He was a decent one.
Got them waves getting spooked, didn't it?
Oh yeah. How else do you get there though?
Now the interesting thing about Georgia is Georgia has
Way up under that bank.
many miles of brook trout fishing. But when you're doing a challenge like this,
saw him
especially
maybe
as you
right in the
get
middle
there
of the
late
road
in the day, like we got
back
to
here,
Georgia on this trip, coming all the way from Virginia, is you really need a creek that's pretty close to South
You
Carolina.
never know.
And that definitely eliminates a lot of Georgia because you're pretty much stuck to the northeast corner of the state. And while we knew of several creeks, we had fished this small stream earlier in the spring, and it had brook trout in it. Not a lot of brook trout at all, and it was by far the hardest stream out of the 5 states we had fished on this date. If we had to do it over, we may have picked a different stream, but we're not going to be deterred by some tough fishing, so we hit it and hope for the best. So this first fish I actually caught, as you just saw, was a little wild brown trout. Maybe only the second brown trout I had ever caught out of this creek. And just fishing it over the last 15, 20 years.
It's a brown trout. Freaking brown trout. Man.
Caught the slam today.
Well, you did. I want a baby brown.
Pretty adipose fin.
Up there, right?
He's on up there in the corner. It makes a bend. He was in it. But he could be in the back today.
Trying to see if I can spot him.
Yeah,
It is. Well, that wasn't worth the toot. Huh. Right. Goodness. Of course, I got it hung in the bush above it, so probably scared it.
See it?
No, I said I got it hung in the bush. I probably scared it. The only piece of dog hobble hanging over, and I got it. Well, I done that one. She's gone. Stand up there and see if you can catch him. No, I didn't. I got it back. Oh my word.
Stay on tight on the right, probably. Oh, he moved up a little bit.
Yeah, he's going upstream.
I think he's spooked up.
No, he's just feeding around.
There's a mayfly on top of the water.
Oh yeah, flying. Oh, he just fed something. Oh, he's eating it. All right, I'm about to go for it.
You come back, I see it. That's a brookie, ain't it?
Looks like it.
Oh, there's a mayfly in the water.
Ready?
Yeah. Easy. Then turn upstream.
Another mayfly. Here we go. He's still underneath that, behind that rock, huh?
I'll throw it right on top of him.
Well, here comes a mayfly down the river. Or it picked up. Did I scare him?
Huh?
No, I didn't scare him. I think he's alert though.
See?
Yeah, he's still there. I really ain't got no way except throw it on top of him. Oh God.
Don't splash, don't splash.
He missed it.
Give it a second, give it a second. Then calm down.
He missed it.
Calm down. Alright.
Oh, well, that's the end of that one.
There you go.
Up in the bank.
Wait a second.
He grabbed it, but he must not have had a bite of the,
Give it a second. He might come back. That unspooked it. That brown did.
he shot up in the bank up there.
Might have drifted out. Give it a second. Ain't like we got.
He shot like straight right behind that log under the water,
Yeah.
straight to the bank.
I was able to move up the stream and actually spotted another fish there. Saw him come out, look at the fly once. At that point, I may have stood there for hours if I had to get him to hit, but the next cast I was able to bow and arrow cast in there up under the bushes.
Yep.
Heck yeah. There you go, buddy.
Woo!
I was pretty proud of that moment. You know, when you start out as a joke or a dream, you don't really expect to ever pull it off, but right there in that moment, we had accomplished a goal and driven a lot of miles, done a lot of research,
Thank you, buddy.
and actually pulled it off. That moment was also kind of tempered by the fact that the whole point was for both of us. to catch it, 5 fish in 5 states. So while I was excited, I was also a little apprehensive because this was not an easy creek and we still needed one more brook trout. As daylight began to get away from us, Adam and I put a full on assault up the creek. And as you'll see, the creek became overgrown with dog hobble to the point you literally could not hit the water with a fly except in a pocket here and there. And the few fish we did see, we were spooked way before we got to them. And as it got darker, you have run out of time to try to drive anywhere else. You have pretty much made your bed, so you have to lay in it. And you won't see it in this video, but we did a lot of bushwhacking through bushes, over our head tall and dog hobble, all looking for one spot we could catch that last Southern Appalachian brook trout for Adam. And while he has his own thoughts on that process and the final, mine, it was, while I was really excited and happy that we were able to complete it for this video, it really bummed me out that celebration was just on my side. Adam had came up a state short, and all that meant there's gonna have to be a sequel.
Got too big a rod. I underestimated how this was.
I got good bean pull out here somewhere. You see it?
I don't remember coming this high. He's right there laying in the back of the pool. Man, I don't know how. I'm about to spook him. He's feeding. Where'd he go? Did he take off? I guess he's seen me. Gone now. Huh? Holy crap. Ain't no way. He's gone. He bolted. Man. Golly.
Well, we're done for today. We set out this morning to catch a brook trout in 5 states in one day. We did that. It several hundred miles, maybe 4, 5, 6 miles of hiking today. Lots of fish. It's on the dry fly. We crawled through a lot of bushes, crawled under a lot of rhododendron. So it is possible to travel from Virginia to Tennessee to North Carolina to Georgia to South Carolina and then to Georgia and catch a brook trout, a wild native Southern Appalachian brook trout in each state in one day. I'm not sure what time it is right now, close to 8 o'clock, so it's taken us about 12 hours to get to this point. So if you watched this far, appreciate it, and come back and see us. I think it's a worthwhile adventure to see the range of locations that Southern Appalachian brook trout still exist. While their habitat's been destroyed, they've been outcompeted by non-native rainbows and browns and stocked brook trout. There's still little niches of habitat out there that house the original fish that were there since the last ice melted out of the last glacier. So that in itself is what makes Southern Appalachian brook trout unique. It's the fact they're survivors. So as always, like and subscribe. So thanks for watching.